Hello! How can I vote for Joe Biden and also believe that Tara Reade was sexually assaulted? I'm David from DN Cognitive Counseling. Tonight I want to have a conversation with you about something that a lot of people are struggling with right now. On one hand, we want to believe when a woman comes out to talk about her story that she has the presumption that she's telling the truth. On the other hand, you have an election coming up, which has very strong and severe consequences. So what do you do? One of the solutions that a lot of people have taken is to take their principles and throw them out the window and start to rationalize why one woman has more credibility than another woman, no matter how ridiculous it sounds. This creates something called cognitive dissonance, where you're saying something that you yourself have no belief in reality, but you're doing it as cover to make your belief seem more plausible. And a lot of people are pretzeling themselves because they don't know how to justify these two concepts. How do I believe Tara Reade and also say, well, I'm supporting Joe Biden? Because those two things are in absolute contradiction. This causes a lot of people to have emotional turmoil and a lot of hypocrisy. I hope that I'll be able to supply you with some way of looking at this in a different way to help with that cognitive dissonance. So at least that when you make your decisions about who you're going to vote for, then at least you're not sitting there going, I need to keep being in denial. Because denial is a very damaging thing. It hurts us on a very deep level. And the more denial that we pile on, the more psychological issues we cause. So the first thing is we have to start being honest about the fact that we don't know what happened. We have a woman that's making a credible claim, as we would want to take any woman who's making a claim. Because the truth is, it's not an easy thing to do. For women to come out and make claims, it takes a lot of strength. Now, being in the industry as long as I have, do I know women who have made up claims? Absolutely. I've worked in this industry for a long time, and I've had women explain to me how they've been angry at their exes or angry about situations or regretted certain behaviors, and the next day their defense mechanism was to make a claim in order to justify and rationalize their own behavior to themselves. Then I've had women who have been absolutely horribly abused, where they blame themselves for their abuse when it was never their fault. And it was very difficult for them to come out and talk about what happened and to tell their story. And of course, when they finally did, nobody believes them. And that's horrible too. So we need to take a much more balanced approach when these things take place. We need to say, we need to listen and have an honest conversation. But at the same time, we also need the presumption of innocence. Those two things are not mutually exclusive. We can say there's a problem here that needs to be looked at. On the same token, we need to say that somebody has a presumption of innocence and the fact that we have two separate issues to look at. One is whether or not you feel or think that that person could have been capable of such an action. And the truth is, anybody is capable of such an action. The capability is there. So the question becomes, how do you justify yourself in saying, I still support somebody who's capable of such an action, there is a credible claim, but at the same time, the presumption of innocence. The concept of the lesser of two evils. In politics, we don't always have choices of who we want. Now, I know there were 15 candidates prior, but the allegations didn't come out when 15 candidates were on the stage. The allegations came out now that the primary person out there is Joe Biden versus Donald Trump. Now, you could make the case to yourself and say, the lesser of those two evils, I believe I'm going to be voting for this person. That does not change the fact that you think they did things that are wrong. I'll give you a perfect example of this about Ben Shapiro. Ben Shapiro is very vocal about the fact of the things he does not like about Donald Trump. There are things that he cannot stand about him. And he's a very big critic of behaviors and attitudes and the way he presents himself. But at the same token, he talks about the policies that he agrees with and says, well, at this point, this is what I'm supporting. And I think he did a really good job about this when he went on Bill Maher's show and had a conversation about how he could be supporting him. I think Dan Crenshaw did the same thing. I think that the fact is Democrats who are in support of Joe Biden should be able to do the same thing. We shouldn't forget Donald Trump had allegations made against him. So it's not a situation of there are no allegations on one side and no allegations on the other and some here and some there. It's across the board, which means that we as a population and people have to take a look at two things. What is it that we tolerate in our politicians? It used to be, if you remember a guy named Gary Hart, one infidelity and proof, gone. Gone from politics. He was a pariah. Today's day and age, it doesn't seem to matter what anybody does. As long as you get what you want from that person, or it puts your political agenda in that arena what you want, people are willing to put people back and forward again. Marion Barry was caught on video using drugs and was reelected. The biggest problem is we as a people have lessened and lessened the moral character of our leaders for a very long time. I'm not saying it's a good thing. I don't like it. But this is where we're at. So the question becomes, what is the lesser of two evils? You don't need to go into a cognitive dissonance, a denial, rationalization, and justification where psychologically in the end you're only going to hurt yourself. I hope that you found this helpful. I hope that you'll share this video for people who don't understand this concept and want to have some backing to why they want to believe something that they want to believe. I hope you liked the video. And if you disagree with me, please tell me why. Tell me why I'm wrong. I'd love to hear it. And again, I'd like you to share. And if you didn't subscribe, please do. And if you like to give to this cause, the subscribe-star button is up right below. And I thank you very much and have a good night.